Just ahead on Crossroads, it's flu season. See how Grant County is dealing with this coughing epidemic.
We'll talk with Layla Price about staying safe and healthy. It's our weather-wise tips for winter.
We head over to Pioneer College Caterers to get some party tips.
And see how one man in Converse isn't letting his age stop him from making the cut. It's all just ahead on Crossroads. Hello again, everyone. Welcome to Crossroads. I'm Randall King.
And I'm Shaylee Clark.
And we are rolling along with a little bit more January. And this is time where I ask you, how are you doing with this winter stuff?
Are we talking the snow or the colds?
Well,
because
all of the above.
We
talk enough about the snow. We've got a minor reprieve from that with a little bit of, mid-30s. So it's balmy. But,
heat wave. I was ready to pull out the shorts.
But here's the other thing about that. If the temperature gets warm again, more sickness. It usually happens.
Yeah, and especially because you get such in the habit of the cold weather, but then I know my sinuses just go nuts with the changing weather.
And sometimes I've read that those germs don't exactly die unless it gets below freezing. So that's really the only good thing about that really sub-zero temperature. Nothing's going to live. But now until people bundle up, and that's another reason. Lots of different things going on. But what we have this year is, kind of an average winter so far, but not average when it comes to sickness.
Yeah, the flu is a very serious topic right now with the huge outbreak all over the United States, and Grant County is no exception. So Stephanie McCracken headed out to Marion General Hospital to talk with the people who have witnessed it firsthand and found out there's a way that you can stay somewhat healthy.
Just driving through Marion, it's not hard to see that it's flu season. Germs are everywhere, and because of that, Grant County has been hit hard. So far this year, Marion General Hospital Infection Control has reported 240 cases of the flu. That's up from 173 total last year. And the hospitalizations are up too.
We've already had 38 hospitalizations that we know of, and last year's total was 34. We've had a flu-related death. Last year we did have 2 flu-related deaths. So we're just seeing more cases this year.
The high numbers stretch beyond our local community. According to the Center for Disease Control, most of the United States is in widespread flu outbreak. Though the virus is easily transmittable, there are precautions.
It's also very important to watch your T-zone. That's your eyes, your nose, and your mouth, because that's where respiratory viruses enter. And so we need to wash our hands frequently. We need to take care not to touch our face. When we're out in public and we're touching things like the shopping cart handles, the elevator buttons, we need to take care to wash or sanitize our hands really quickly after we've done that.
And one of the best ways to make sure you don't get the flu is to get the flu shot.
Marion General Hospital has taken the precautions a step further. While the flu season lasts, the hospital has visitor restrictions in place. For starters, no children under 18 can visit.
Most specifically, we are restricting visitors to 1 person per patient. Obviously, that patient can change one day. It could be your mom in the morning and your dad in the afternoon, or your best friend the next day, but not to have all 3 of them there at the same time. But we just want to be sure that they're safe. We're asking if you are one of those visitor caretakers that you're not coming when you have flu-like symptoms. So if you're feeling feverish, if you're feeling like you have a cough or cold, or just, when most people know that they're coming down with something, we're asking to maybe assign someone else to be that patient's visitor. We're finding that it's just keeping both our healthcare workers safer and our patients and our physicians that are in here taking care of the patients.
It's a simple step in helping maintain patient care and helping to prevent the spread of the flu. Grant County has been hit hard. Out in the general public, you can still get your flu shot at many places, and sometimes some self-care can keep the flu at bay, keeping you healthy in a season that's full of germs. For Crossroads, I'm Stephanie McCracken.
Shaylee, looking at Stephanie kind of getting that one for the TV team, I winced just a little bit because I got my own flu shot. I did this a couple of years ago. I was one of those, flu shot, whatever. And then I think I got the flu a couple of years ago, and I said, no more. So the flu shots are not 100%. We know that. We know that this year's virus has some problems, but still, take every precaution you can, and it's so cheap.
Oh, exactly. It's just an extra precaution. And like they were saying, those germs are everywhere. You go to the grocery store, I never even thought about that. So, why not take the extra step to make sure? And if it doesn't work, well, my luck, it wouldn't work. But I mean, I think I'll take the hope that it will.
And just don't shake my hand at the end of the show today. Okay.
Deal.
Well, from weather, or from health to weather, when we come back, we'll hear some weather-wise tips.
Layla Price will show us how to stay safe this winter.
Well, as we've been talking about, this winter weather can mean lots of issues with sickness, but it also can mean issues with safety. So we asked Layla Price back from the city of Marion for some more weather-wise tips. You were here back in October, November, and we were just talking theoretically about this weather. Now we've gotten it. And I think with this little blast of warm air, that's being a relative term, we could kind of get lulled into, just taking it for granted now. But what kinds of things are you finding that people need to know about in this really still early stage of winter?
Well, we're in the thick of it now, so we have a lot that we have already experienced, but we are very blessed to know that we haven't had nearly as much snowfall as we had expected. I was just talking with our street department director, Jack Antrobus, and he said that they have actually not used nearly as much salt as they had anticipated, so they will have a savings from that, so that's good news
and
if the patterns continue.
Many weeks to go.
Correct.
We know Indiana, March could be interesting too.
Right. So we do want to focus on safety. I know you just did a nice segment on the flu, and so I really don't want to touch on that too much, even though it is a hot topic. So Cliff Sessoms, Deputy Chief of the Marion Police Department, he was actually sick today, so he couldn't come in, but he was going to touch on some traffic safety, driving safety in the winter weather. We did just have a snowstorm, and so there's some things that he wants you to remember, but a lot of the information that he gathers is from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, and it's nhtsa.gov. I can repeat that later, but it's basically all there for you. And I can even talk about some of those tips if you'd like.
And I know that you work with WeatherWise, and just kind of a reminder of what that is. It gives out alerts or updates for people, or just some tips on how to stay safe in the winter?
That's actually a misconception. We are not a news service or an alert service, so we really want to strive to make sure that residents are prepared, but we are not going to be that service. We don't want to step on the toes of the Emergency Management Agency or the local TV station.
And you got so many ways to get that information now, but what you've been able to do with WeatherWise is just come alongside that and say, now here's some things to think about before the emergency comes.
Exactly, in a non-overwhelming manner. So, for instance, we just had that snowstorm, but just to be prepared for next time, you can actually fill your reservoir with windshield wiper fluid, because you can actually go through that windshield fluid very quickly in a snowstorm.
That's a good tip.
So make sure that that's filled with
here.
high-grade, winter quality with de-icer fluid. So that's just a little helpful tip.
Do you find that sometimes when we start getting snow melt that people just think, I know of one person on this campus who knows better, she would admit that, who fell when it was rainy and did not think there was any ice down anymore.
Right.
And I've seen that happen, and I saw it happen on the roads recently, where you think, oh, well, everything's melting, but that rainy kind of sloppy mix can really, really be a mess.
Yeah, they tell you to just be very cognizant of the temperature change, because it can get very scary, like right in the 30, 29 degrees. So it's important to know that it can very quickly change to black ice, and we even had an incident last week in Delaware County where someone was not very careful on the roads and actually smashed into a police car. So it's very important to slow down, and if you're not comfortable driving on slick roads, the NHTSA, they actually tell you to practice driving when it does snow, but not on a main road. And so that would be a good idea to do, just to build confidence.
make sure you've got a shoulder, though. Not to cry on, a shoulder for your car to go on.
Yeah, that would be a good idea.
And what would you say is the best tip that you have tried already this winter?
Oh,
Maybe other
goodness.
people have said that this is the one they want to keep using.
I like the idea that you are supposed to carry a winter car kit. A lot of people don't have the time to gather those things, but I think it's very important to carry that with you at all times. And I even take it one step further to pack a bag, an emergency bag with everything that I need, just in case of an emergency and we need to spend the night somewhere.
Well, the smart tips are to do things now when you're basking in 35-degree weather.
Right.
Go get that fluid, go get that car kit. Great stuff. Well, it's weather-wise, and as Layla said, it's not for the alerts, it's to give you that information so you're ready for the alert. And if you want to see those tips, you can check it out on Facebook. Lots of information there, facebook.com/weatherwisemarion, or you can find the organization on Twitter at weatherwisetips. Thanks again, Layla, for
Thank
coming
you.
in.
Thank
Thanks for
you.
keeping us all wise.
Thanks for
Or a
having me.
little bit more wise.
Well, when we come back, I head over to Pioneer College Caterers.
Shaylee is going to get, as if she needs it, some party tips. Yay!
Well, welcome back to Crossroads. The weather may be a little colder than normal, but that doesn't mean we can't have a party. And James LaPetrie here from Pioneer College Caterers is here to show us how to have maybe a fancy, elegant party while staying in budget. So thank you, James. And let's go ahead and see what we first have here.
Well, we're starting off here with something that's very inexpensive. They're all disposable. We have a pre-wrapped disposable flatware with a disposable 6-inch plate. And then if you change it up a little bit, go a square paper plate. It makes it very elegant, yet inexpensive, served with fruited water.
And you could do this general setup with any holiday. So if you wanted to,
Paper plates come in many different styles.
exactly. And where would you say the best place, where do you get your things? Even just the simple.
I have my wife go out and buy it.
And it,
Walmart, Hobby Lobby, any party supply stores. We get a lot of our food from the Gordons. They have some different supplies. We can go and have their market and purchase.
perfect. And then the rose, how did you make that? Did you find that online?
Well, then again, I have a great staff. They're very talented, but they ensure me that they learn as they go in online and find the different napkin folds, and they walk you right through it. So the power of internet.
Exactly. So
great.
cheap can be fancy. So let's keep going. So if we have the fancy setup, what are some foods that we can do?
Then we can go up to a buffet. It's really nice. And then again, we can purchase things very inexpensively, change things to look. You have a pedestal bowl turned upside down to bring elevation to a very nice, elegant glass platter, which was purchased for $1 at Goodwill.
$1. Very
Then
nice.
you can display different treats. With homemade baked cookies, you can make a homemade brownie, jazz it up by putting different sprinkles and toppings on it as you bake it. Or you can take a nice white cake mix, take the ingredients using the oil and the egg, cutting those ingredients in half, and adding dry Jell-O and mixing it up. Then you have a flavored bar. These are orange.
Oh.
So you can change it up a little
So you
bit.
get a little color in there.
Little color, and it makes it very interesting and very seasonal. We just made, our baker made a strawberry brownie, which was fabulous. And then we have, you can take a very common cream pie, put it on your dessert plate, put a chocolate or caramel on the bottom before you put the pie on top. Changes it up. And
So it makes it into a 5-star dessert just like that.
And all this stuff is you can find pretty much at Walmart, Hobby Lobby, garage sales. Very elegant. You got a nice picture here. You put different flavors of fruit, changes it up. Strawberries in the spring, raspberry, cucumber makes a very refreshing drink in the summertime.
So again, this is very inexpensive stuff. You can get at Goodwill, the dollar store, for if you have a tight budget. So let's go look at some table placements now. So let's say that we want a little fancy dinner for 2, but again, staying in the budget, what do you got?
Oh, this is incredible. You can take your normal day flatware and your china that's in the cabinet, but you can dress it up with a nice napkin fold, or you can come up, there is a single candle holder that was purchased for 49 cents at the Goodwill. Wow. And we stopped at the Hobby Lobby and picked up some things that were on sale, very inexpensive, and created a very nice, elegant, but low centerpiece.
And again, you could change that depending on what season it is, what party you're having.
Whatever you can find it for the season.
Exactly.
Change it up for the spring as it was coming in with fresh cut flowers.
Very nice, very nice. And what do we have over here?
Now we have a very upscale dinner flatware, tableware. We start off with a charger, which looks very nice, but was only purchased for $1 at Hobby Lobby. And
$1.
it changes right up. Just a normal stem glassware. And then we have, you can accent the table with your centerpiece. All that was purchased on sale at Hobby Lobby, and some of it from the Goodwill, candle holders and stuff. And very interchangeable for the seasons. And you have a basic design.
And let's say you're maybe not wanting to do the dishes and you don't want to use real
Well,
glass.
You can take away, if you don't have the high china, you can take the china away and go back again to a very nice disposable plate and still have a very elegant. These plates, if you wanted to match it with your charger, it does come in a gold rim. Again, find it at the party store and most holiday stores, I guess.
Very nice. So it's really all about just placement, napkins. It really doesn't have to be anything super fancy.
Not super fancy. Change it up with the different napkin folds as you learn when you're online.
So you can now see that you don't have to have a lot of money to have a very fancy, elegant party at your house or wherever. As James just showed us here, you can go to a store and get things for as low as 59 cents and have anything you want. So thank you, James, for meeting with us and showing us these tips. I know that I'll be using them. Thank you. Well, when we come back, see how one man is making sure everyone in Converse gets a haircut, even in his 80s.
Welcome back to Crossroads. And Shaylee, you've been on the show long enough to know that we love going around Grant County and this part of the state and looking at sort of nostalgic things. You've lived in a lot of small towns. You know there's lots of interesting things out there.
I have, and especially when you talk to older people in the community or at my church, you hear all about town history, and it's so intriguing.
Do you ever go to Cracker Barrel and look at those things hanging over you while you're eating?
Well, there's so much of them. How do you not? I mean, I think it's such a popular thing even among families. I love going to my grandma's house and looking in the attic, finding things that your dad or mom had when they were younger.
You know what's really fun is finding that kind of stuff or a store like that that's actually still working. It's not just kind of like just a novelty, but it actually works. You can think of beauty shops, barber shops, 5 and dime stores. They're kind of the things we look fondly back on like they're a museum, and then we continue on with our modern digital lives. But that way of life never really went away, especially in some of these towns across Indiana. And in Converse, we found the man who makes sure your haircut is affordable and the company is even better. There's not much going on in Converse on a Saturday morning, much less following a brutal week of winter. But one constant through any season is Dan Summers, showing up and opening up for more than half a century at the shop he started in 1960.
I'm used to coming here. I just don't feel like it's right if I don't.
Dan is a barber, not a stylist, not a clipper. And once inside, you know it's a barber shop where men used to line up to spiff up. Used to.
You know, a lot of people just don't care. They don't care about their hair, really. And they don't care about how they dress.
You all set?
Yeah.
So now he might see 3 or 4 customers on a Saturday. They'll get the full treatment, though. Absolutely nothing state-of-the-art. Because the old tools and the craftsmen are still sharp, and the price is right. What they also get is a friend. Dan can tell you about the barbers mentioned in the Old Testament. Really.
He was shaved and bathed.
About how Floyd the barber didn't really cut hair on the old Andy Griffith show.
You could tell the way he handled his tools.
And the little problem with the barber pole on the plaque Converse gave him at 50 years of business.
The high side is always to the right.
Dan didn't get it wrong outside.
You still look nice and handsome.
Oh, thank you.
He's the town's longest-serving businessman, And at 86, he's still cutting.
Sure, thank you, Tom.
Dan.
Appreciate it.
The shop, the town, the customers, their home and life.
I lost my wife just a couple of years ago, and when I'm down at the house by myself, it's lonely. When I come up here every day, I see somebody I can talk to or can talk to me, and it just helps make the time go.
A snapshot of memories and a throwback that's not just a photo, but a real shop, real service. And the most real thing here is the barber himself.
I know my time's going to run out. I've got a lot to be thankful for.
I mean, I would think, most people when they hit retirement, they're ready to be done. But it's so fantastic to see someone like Dan who just wants to keep going, but because he just loves the company.
The town, the company, like we said, it's just, it's touching. And he does miss his wife. It's been about 3 years, but town fills that void by being able to be there at the shop, and what a great service.
And another great story that, you never know what is in your town. Just another good example of that.
A fixture in Converse. Well, thank you for sharing with us, Dan. We're going to come back and see you again. We want you to know we value your input on the show. If you have ideas for something going on in your town that you'd like to comment on or something you've seen here on Crossroads, you can email us. crossroads@nwest.edu. That's crossroads, INDWES.edu. And if you prefer mail, why don't you drop us a note, WIWU-TV, 4201 South Washington Street, Marion, Indiana, 46953.
Or you can watch past episodes and check out all of our local programming by visiting our website. It's www.wiwutv.com/crossroads. That's wiwutv.com/crossroads. And while you're on the web, feel free to check out our Facebook and Twitter pages. You can get a behind-the-scenes look at what we do here. That's facebook.com/wiwutv, and follow us on Twitter at wiwutv.
And as we like to say, it may be cold and it's indoors, but there's still lots of stuff going on in Grant County. And we like to get to it.
Yeah, I'm ready. And if this warmer weather wants to stick around, I will not be opposed to that.
Break out the shorts at temperature 35 degrees.
Yeah, exactly.
Fahrenheit, right? Well, for everyone who's worked on this show, I'm Randall King.
And I'm Shaylee Clark. The Crossroads of Life bring people together, and that's what we try to do here each week.
Thanks for watching, everyone. So long.